about batters. Welcome to Reading the Tea Leaves, where I, Roberto, am here with you, just discussing things. We can discuss whatever you guys want to. Let's see. I am indeed live. Welcome, about batters. All right, awesome. I am indeed live. Welcome to Reading the Tea Leaves. We're gonna just, as the title would state, we're gonna follow up with the Gene Hackman. Okay, I had a little bit bad writing there, and the Bryan Kohlberger case, the Gene Hackman death with his wife. There was a little news. It wasn't really anything significant, but we're gonna go back talking about some topics that we have talked before, just to follow up with them, just to be with you here. I'll wait for some people maybe to join the chat here, because sometimes is it really worth it to even start to really do anything if no one's here? Yeah, I'm having some tea. I believe it's the nighttime chamomile with spearmint. It has a little bit too much spearmint and maybe a little bit too much licorice for my taste. It's the Amazon stuff that was like really, really dirt cheap. I mean, it was like $2 a box. As you guys know, I'm always going to be giving out little bits of information that you don't need. Like, do we really need to talk about Gene Hackman here or Bryan Kohlberger? I mean, most people don't really give a shit about that. And people are probably wondering, you're an MMA channel, why aren't we discussing MMA? But who wants to talk about Paddy Pimblett and Colby Covington? And what is Ilia Topuria going to do? And what did he say on, the fucking this guy's podcast, JRE, the Joe Rogan Experience? I don't really care, and it's not that I'm not an MMA fan. It's just like that, just doing something different. Maybe somebody will come in and we'll talk about these things or not. I could talk about those. I could easily bring up or just off the cuff discuss like what's next for Paddy Pimblett, what's next for Volkanovski, what's next for Diego Lopes, right? What happens to Yair Rodriguez? And what happens to the losers? What happens to Pitbull? Right? What happens to Pitbull? What happens, I mentioned Lopes as well. Like, what happens to him? He was vying for the fight or the fight with Yair Rodriguez. And Yair Rodriguez, he wants a championship. Like, that's what he's vying for. And I think he should get it. Welcome, bout batters. Man, it looks good. Look at the color variation here. Let me see if I can center myself better. Yeah, center myself there. I love this lighting. Like, this lighting works good for me. I don't know why. I like it. You could think what you guys want. There's nobody here really to discuss things. Also have to remember, I keep on looking up because there's a screen right here. Like, I have the actual monitor is right here where I could actually see. This is my laptop down here that's projecting the camera and projecting me, and then I have a monitor up here, so I'm always looking up. Like it really matters. I need to try to talk to you, but if there's nobody to listen to, am I really saying anything? If I'm speaking and there's no real audience, yeah, there is an audience sometimes afterwards, but it's extremely minimal. It's minimal to none. So let me make sure that I'm here live again. It really matters. I need to try to talk. There, yeah, we are. There we are live. I'm tired. I've been yelling. I mean, in my job, I have to yell. Not at I'm yelling at people because I work in an airfield and it's just like super loud. So I have to yell, right? Like, it's not like I'm yelling at people per se. I'm just yelling. My voice needs to be heard, and it actually hurts. My voice actually hurts. My body hurts. Even though it's not like extreme physical labor. I am out of shape. I'm obese probably for my BMI index, if my BMI or whatever it might be. Let's take a look at what it is. Give me a moment here. Let's check this out here. Let's get my actually I don't have ChatGPT in the chat. Let's see if I got an open window. Let me add ChatGPT, or it's already in one of my selections here. And we'll get to talking about stuff. ChatGPT. I love ChatGPT. I have to use it. And where are you? Alien Romulus explained. Why is that window open? I already. That was actually a horrible video, right? The Alien Romulus explained, in or some things like additional whatever. It was just really really bad, really bad video. I mean, and the guy's got millions of viewers. Oh, there's my chat GPT. Okay, let me. Where are you at, chat GPT? Yeah. Alien Romulus, like watching the reviews, I sort of underrated the movie, right? Here, let's get myself a little bit smaller. Right, let's ask. Okay, so I am BMI for male. I'm actually 5'9". I shrunk. I was 5'10". I've been 5'10", 5'11" most of my life, and then I'm actually like 5'9". 5'9" inches. And I've lost a lot of weight. Let's see what it says here. 29.53 in the overweight category, just below the obesity threshold of 30. So yeah, I'm gonna throw myself as obese. Like I'm gonna put myself there. I mean, I think that's a stretch as obese, but I mean, math can't lie, right? I mean, I don't know who makes the BMI index. Let's see who created the BMI. I cannot spell. Typing awkwardly. Oh, BMI. It was created a mathematician. Okay, all right, come on, people. In the 19th century, Quetelet, and then it was popularized by Ansel Keys in 72. You know, how relevant is it today? Probably still relevant. Probably still relevant, right? Is there anybody in the chat? Oh, that's the UFC stats. We don't need to look at that. Oh yeah, I guess I do have Alien Romulus. Ending and series connections explained. Was not a good video, really. Like I didn't really, and you want to ask, like I'm still into and still look into the alien world, right? Like I like that it's connected to Blade Runner, but it's such a like they have so many movies now, and it's a sort of more a thicker plot, right, than was previously assumed. Like they've really kept on adding. Of course, it's going to have lots of layers and be a thicker plot now because there's so many. Nobody's in the chat because, of course, there's so many movies. So it's just been building and building and building. And you probably guys couldn't even read that chat GPT. And it's like, that's the other thing is like I'd have to make myself so small. And I might as well put the let's start with Gene Hackman. Right, let's start with Gene Hackman. Let me hide chat GPT. And let's get to AP News right there. Right, and whoa. Yeah. No, I think that might be okay. Let's see here. Boom. Welcome, bow batters. Boom. And where am I at? Put myself in the front. I need some of my tea. It's just so hot. It's just so hot. Feeling hot. There I go. Ba-ba-da. Be-dee-dee-dee-dee. I'll leave that bow better symbol almost where it's at. It doesn't bother me. right? And then when I go here, well, that's my thing. There's still nobody in the chat. That doesn't bother me either, really. There's nobody in the chat. All right, we'll get to you. Oh, we'll close that out. I had a bunch of windows open here. And let me get to the one that I really need to get to. All right, yeah, so there we go. It's scrolling. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Let's see here. I need to get that, and I can make this bigger. Boom. Yes. 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 Right, and that way you might be able to read it. Let me see how it looks on the camera. Yeah, that looks better. It looks, I don't know if on the phone you're not going to be able to see it, but on a computer you might be able to see this. Should I have, oh no, yeah, let me open that application up and it could read it. What was that application that I was using? Well, I have the time here, people. I have the time here. Rather than read it, give me the moment. There's nobody in the chat. Make sure there's nobody in the chat here. Boom. Boom. Yeah, there's nobody in the chat here. So let me, boom. Let's see who I was using. Come on, people. Oh, it's 11 labs. There we go. Okay. Boop, 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 boop. So, yeah, people, let's see. Be boom. Oh, it is boom. Oh, it went over. So let me get that last one. We're still over. So let's play it.
Authorities on Tuesday released a trove of records related to the deaths of Gene Hackman and his wife, including a lengthy investigation report detailing some of the last emails, phone calls, and internet searches by Hackman's wife, indicating that she had been scouring for information on flu-like symptoms and breathing techniques.
Man, okay. Yeah, so she sort of knew things were going wrong, things were awry. I mean, she was taking care of Gene Hackman, right?
Betsy Arakawa died in February of hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, a rare rodent-borne disease that can lead to a range of symptoms that include flu-like illness, headaches, dizziness, and severe respiratory distress, investigators have said. Hackman is believed to have died about a week later of heart disease, with complications from Alzheimer's disease.
Man, I mean, just horrible. Like, she was definitely taking care of him, and whoa, wait, what happened there? What happened there? That was interesting. Well, I mean, here it says, as you read it, hantavirus is found throughout the world, is spread in contact with rodents in the urine or feces. It does not spread between people. There is no specific treatment or cure, but early medical attention can increase the chances of survival. I read earlier that a lot of the fecal matter was everywhere. They had multiple infestations throughout, like, their homes. Like, they had certain little shacks and like 3 homes in a compound, basically. And it was also in their car. And this is important here, that they mentioned that it is spread by the animals, but is not spread person to person. And that's why his wife, who was caring for Gene Hackman, died before Gene Hackman. Betsy died before from the hantavirus. and she didn't give it to Gene Hackman. So Gene Hackman was mummified and died, just probably of neglect. Can't say neglect, but she was taking care of him. And I just can't believe, I mentioned this before, that such wealthy people. I mean, I understand you're private and you're movie stars, and he was sick, and they probably were very specific on who they could let care for them. I have that same issue. I understand where you just can't have anyone come in and care for your loved one when they're in that state, right? What's through Alzheimer's, or if they have also dementia, and other stages of a lot of other things come with Alzheimer's, right? There's paranoia, there's dementia, there's all sorts of things. So it's not very easy at all. So it says here also the infection can rapidly progress and become life-threatening. It starts like the flu. That's why she was researching it. Body aches, feeling poorly overall, said Dr. Sonia Bartholomew of UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas. Early in the illness, you really may not be able to tell the difference between hantavirus and having the flu. That's why she had, these complications of not knowing where it's at, not knowing what was going on with her, right? Like she just didn't know, right? So get back to that here. The virus can cause severe and sometimes deadly lung infection called hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Yeah, we're not going to get this kind of information more since Trump and those guys took over the CDC. The information like this is going to be a lot more scarce, and I'm going to pay attention. Although this one was for a wealthy person like Gene Hackman, who was just a great actor. Probably also a good person. I'm not positive of that, but really good actor. I like most of his movies, or a lot of his movies. The agency began tracking the virus in 1993, and the outbreak in the Four Corners region, the area where Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and Utah meet, right? It was an astute physician with the Indian Health Service who first noticed a pattern of deaths among young patients, said Dr. Mitchell Harkins, a pulmonologist with the University of New Mexico Health Science Center, who for years has been studying disease and helping patients. So Native Americans getting the work done here, helping us out, using science, not just about like the spirits and smoke. Native Americans are in a modern part of the world too. You listen, I gotta calm down about that stuff. But we instantly assume things, right? And here it's important to know that people in the area, it's a serious disease, obviously, and it's shared by, as they mentioned, the 4 points, it's shared by a bunch of states. And so it's very important that we tackle this. We learn about the hantavirus, and it's just a shame that I think their deaths could easily have been preventable, as I mentioned before when we talked about this a while ago. They were healthy and had no medical problems, and they were coming in with cardiopulmonary arrest. Like, I think she meant this like with subjects that had died from the hantavirus. She said, prompting the CDC's involvement as expert work to determine what the patients had in common. The majority of U.S. cases since then have been in Western states, especially the Southwest. Between 1993 and 2022, there were 864 reported U.S. cases. New Mexico had the highest number over that time with 122, followed by Colorado at 119. There were 7 cases confirmed in 2023 and another 7 in 2024, according to the New Mexico Department of Health. As for deaths, the state has reported 52 between 1975 and 2023. So it is still rare, right? What does it say here? The CDC has offered to test samples involved in Arakawa's case to learn more about the strain of the virus that infected her and to perform pathology testing. Pathology testing, I think that means blood testing, right? Pathology testing, or it could be more. Because they do skin as well. But primarily, I assume they're going to look at the lungs if they're concerned about that. So symptoms start to 1 to 8 weeks after exposure and initially can include fatigue, fever, and muscle aches, according to the CDC. As the disease progresses, symptoms can include coughing, shortness of breath, and tightness in the chest as the lungs fill with fluid. Ooh, that cannot be fun. Very uncomfortable. About a third of people who develop respiratory symptoms from the disease can die. Again, very preventable. She could have... I don't understand this. It really, I'm at a loss, and I sort of get it because I'm somebody that I had health issues. I wanted to go see a doctor. I put it off for years. For years, I had health care. Couldn't went. I was like, okay, I'm going to get, whatever. I'll go this other time. And even to this day, like I'm debating whether to get healthcare, and I should, right? Because I want them to check out a couple things, and it's going to cost me some money. But then, when you use it, it costs money still too. So, just tough, right? Despite years of research, is that where I'm at? Yeah. Despite years of research, Harkins said many questions have yet to be answered, including why it can be mild for some people and very severe for others, and how antibodies are developed. She and other researchers have been following patients over long periods of time in hopes of finding a treatment. So it doesn't seem like there's much of a cure for this. A lot of mystery, she said, noting what researchers do know is that mouse exposure is the key. And yeah, they had horrible infections here. The best way to avoid the germ is to minimize contact with rodents and their droppings. Use protective gloves and a bleach solution for cleaning up rodent droppings. Public health expert caution against sweeping or vacuum, which can cause the virus to get into the air. Oh, interesting. I guess they vacuuming. Okay, so it says Associated Press writers Michael Stube and Susan Montoya Bryan contributed to this report. The Associated Press Health and Science Department received support from the Howard Hughes Medical Institute of Science and Education Media Group and the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. The AP is solely responsible for this content. Yeah, it's free press for a strong democracy. You see, they want it to donate. Not donating. I don't have money, people. I don't have money. Let's see if I can find something on Kohberger. Oh, they have the donate. Oh. I don't have to go anywhere. Yeah, here it is. We'll just go. Yeah, so that with Kohberger, they're looking at. Let's see if there's anybody in the chat right here in my feed here. I got Kohberger in there. Come on. He's fully in there. Whoa, Kohberger on the AP News. Joey would like that. Why isn't Joey in the chat? I have my phone over there. Tea break. We're reading in between the tea leaves. Going back to I mean, I shouldn't be talking about Gene Hackman as I'm at the photo of Kohberger, but obviously a death that could, I mean, he was already on his deathbed. I mean, I guess he had severe Alzheimer's, but the survival of his partner is what is also tragic here. That with another care provider, her death was definitely could have been prevented, right? They could have gotten help. It sounds like she was aware that she was sick and just didn't go to a doctor, right? Like she was doing research on like, oh, why am I feeling this way? Why do I feel like I have the flu? And we don't go to the doctor. Even with flu-like symptoms, we don't go to the doctor, right? And where they're at, maybe it was a challenge to get to their doctor, right? Why they didn't had all that money, millions of dollars, and don't have like a almost personal physician to take care of Mr. Hackman like on site? I don't know. I don't understand that. Like, what do you can't take the money with you. That's why you have that all that money is to in the future or not in the future. Kohberger, Mr. Kohberger. Oh, he's in there. He's in there. Kohberger. Is to use that money, right? Like, what else are you going to use it other than your health? Can't take it with you, and apparently he didn't even donate it to the kids initially. So the kids are going to be going through, um, uh, a straight legal battle for the estate. Again, where it's tragic is in his wife's death. I think, and Mr. Hackman too, because he died earlier, died painfully, died alone, probably in his death in his bed or even roaming around. Probably even saw when he was also mummified. Like they found them weeks later. I just don't understand how they wealthy people like that don't have a measurement of care, right, additional care and don't have a wellness check, especially in the gated community that they were in. It just makes no sense. It's like you have all that money and it wasn't working for you at the end of your life. It is what it is. I mean, it's tragic, and I empathize with the people, and I empathize with the woman, and even Gene Hackman and the family, and I think part of the family was estranged. It would be a shame if there was actually some of the children that were trying to help out and that were not permitted, and I could understand that too. I could understand how Gene Hackman's wife could have said no, you don't help because he's he. I believe me, I could see it from from personal experience, and I want to talk about it because my some can hear me upstairs discussing it. But yeah, from personal experience, I understand the level of paranoia and how easily triggered somebody is with Alzheimer's. Like there so easily over so many things, and it's just so difficult to care for those people. And she was doing it, and just to not get help when you have that level of money and resources, and it just is a shame. They definitely could have found some other people to assist with that. So enough of that there, and we still do not have anybody in the chat. So I'll go through this Kohlberger thing. Why is the Kohlberger thing interesting? I think I find the case interesting not because I'm into serial murders or anything else. My friend got me into it, and I think I was more into it from a forensics side, and forensics are extremely important in this case. They do have no eyewitnesses. They had one drop of blood found on an object that was part of the murder weapon, potentially. That has been, they used, and I mentioned before, they used Ancestry.com or one of these other sites to cross reference the DNA that they have obtained. There were illegal measures of obtaining the DNA. They grabbed his father's DNA to try to match it with them. They grabbed from the garbage, what I guess is public property, right? Once it's in the garbage, but the garbage can was on private property, right? So there are these all these legal questions that come into play of how they obtained the evidence, how they utilized, and the nature of like what evidence they're using as a reference, not just the evidence, but like what the not the metric, but the actual sort like counter source. Like they're comparing it to data that's on a public pay for DNA domain, right? So that is a little bit problematic. It's not on an FBI database. It's not through a hospital. It's not through a genetic foundation of some form, like one of these gene banks or blood banks or something like that. No, it's actually just done through like Ancestry.com or an equivalent thereof. So my interest was more of how, and we're seeing this more and more, and it happens all the time. And sometimes I feel naive about sometimes these, but how flimsy and how near whimsical people can be convicted, and how little it takes to convict you. And when the little part is really sound in its science, then I support it, right? Like we go back to the alien, big things in little bits, right? There's one drop of the black goo that can alter not only your DNA but can change a world, right? Like there isn't much needed to foster change in an ecosystem, right? And it's the same with DNA. Like if it was a sound piece of DNA, that one speck, if it were a good speck, right? The other thing is that there were other multiple parts of DNA in the home, right? So that's where it's interesting, is in the if you're interested in oh, there we go, in DNA, right? In why am I there? Bring me out of there. So I don't want to read all this. So give me give me a chance here. Hey, why isn't it? Why am I still there? Is it that far behind? Jesus, it really is. Hello. Come on. Whoa, what's going on? AP News. Am I still in there? No. Why is that the case? Whoa. Whoa, that's interesting. That is a trip. So that has to do with me. Let me take me off for a moment and see if that fixes it. Fixes it. Fixes it. Fixes it. Where am I? Where am I in here? I'm tired. Alright, so there was me. Let's go back to AP. Why is AP showing me like this? Oh, it switched. I see what happened. There we go. Interesting. Interesting thing there, people. Interesting. Right? Interesting. That switch it? Yeah, it did. Still nobody in the chat. Where is mine? Boom. Okay. All right, there. Let me get some of this. Let's read this a little bit here. Oh, I haven't had any of my tea yet.
Prosecutors and attorneys for a man charged in the killings of 4 University of Idaho students in 2022 argued some of the final ground rules they want for Bryan Kohberger's trial in a hearing Wednesday. Kohberger, 30, is charged with murder in the stabbing deaths of Ethan Chapin, Zana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Goncalves at a rental home near campus in Moscow, Idaho.
Pretty vicious stabbing death.
Kohberger, then a criminal justice graduate student at Washington State University, was arrested in Pennsylvania weeks after the November 13, 2022 killings. Investigators said they matched his DNA to genetic material recovered from a knife sheath found at the crime scene. When asked to enter a plea to the charges, Kohberger stood silent, prompting the judge to enter a not guilty plea on his behalf.
Yeah, Kohberger's demeanor, while not good for the cameras or the jury, maybe, the dude is just stone cold. It is actually really good. He unemotional, very direct, doesn't say anything, doesn't really show a lot of emotion, doesn't look like a stone cold killer, but he looks like a very good poker player. His poker face in the court is really, really amazingly good.
Jury selection in the case is expected to begin July 30th, with the trial starting August 11. The trial is expected to take nearly 3 months to complete. Attorneys on both sides of the case have filed hundreds of pages of legal motions, including whether Kohberger should face the death penalty if he is convicted, whether witnesses should be allowed to testify about things like touch DNA, and who should be allowed in the courtroom during the trial.
Yeah, it's crazy how long these trials go for.
Will Kohberger still face the death penalty if he is convicted? Defense attorney Ann Taylor told the judge that the death penalty should be taken off the table for several reasons, including her client's autism diagnosis. She also said her team is still struggling to go through massive amounts of discovery material from prosecutors. Many of those documents have been jumbled, out of order, or electronically locked, Taylor said.
Yeah, and so that's really what interests me here is how evidence handling, the chain of evidence here, all of that stuff is just very interesting, right?
She said the issues are big enough that at this point it would be unfair for Kohberger to face the death penalty. She pointed to another recent major criminal case in which a judge took the death penalty off the table for Lori Vallow Daybell after last-minute discovery issues arose before trial.
Yeah, I don't know about the autism thing. I don't know how valid that is. Really, it's just more, I would think it's just more a fear of a tainted evidence, tainted jury, just a lot of things that have been going around. His chance for a mistrial here already are pretty good.
We continue to go through discovery as rapidly as we can. We just won't get through all of it before we go to trial, Taylor said. 4th District Judge Stephen Hippler told Taylor he should have heard about the issues with discovery earlier in the case, and that Valo Daybell's case is completely different. Prosecutor Ashley Jennings said the defense was provided a searchable index for all the FBI documents. Hippler said he would rule later.
Yeah, they've been going back and forth. He's got decent lawyers, right? His lawyers.
Can Kohberger's family members attend the trial? The prosecution has listed Kohberger's family as potential witnesses. Typically, witnesses are excluded from trials until after they have testified, so their testimony isn't influenced by other evidence. But the defense team says Kohberger's family should be able to attend because he relies on their support, and it is the humane thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be tough for any parent to go to this. And in fact, they used his father's DNA to convict, are going to use his father's DNA to convict him. His father is part of the trial.
The prosecution told the judge that the defense shouldn't be able to dictate how the prosecution presents its case. She says putting the family members on the witness stand early in the trial would make the testimony out of context and out of order. This is like a gumbo, Hippler replied. You all are going to put all the pieces you need into a pot, and at the end of the day, the jury's going to decide if it's a good soup or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's this.
He said he would take the matter under advisement and issue a ruling later. I can only imagine that the family of Mr. Kohberger is devastated by these things. It's nothing that they did, and their ability to be here to see the trial is important, Hippler said.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to be there, especially his father. It's just so difficult. He's going to be seeing video of himself. I don't think he'll be called for as a witness here, but he will certainly be discussed here, right? And again, here now they're going to be discussing his will Kohberger's autism spectrum diagnosis be brought up if he's convicted. If the jury finds Kohberger guilty, the defense team plans to submit evidence about his autism spectrum diagnosis as a mitigating factor for why he should not be sentenced to death. I don't agree with that at all. The purpose is to show jurors that some of his behaviors are related to autism, Taylor said. For instance, Kohberger tends to be stoic and can sit very still for long periods of time, she said, and sometimes talks for longer than other people might want him to talk. No, that's just the court. That's a tell there. They shouldn't be talking about these things, really. Taylor asked the judge to issue an order that says Kohberger's autism-related characteristics can't be used by prosecutors as aggravating factors or reasons that he should get the death penalty. I think they're just trying to talk about his stoicism. And it's, like I was mentioning, in the court, apparently, he's just stone cold. Doesn't speak very much. He doesn't say anything. The prosecution team countered that they have much better aggravating factors to present and don't plan to reference Kohberger's autism spectrum condition if the case reaches the penalty phase. But they also don't want the defense to be able to chalk up any behaviors as being related to autism. Yeah, it makes no sense. The judge, like, oh yeah, next year you have autism, you're allowed to kill people? Like, what is going on here? As he says, good. It's good after you've been reading and your throat is in pain, like getting variables working here. Variables, audibles. All right, it doesn't matter. No one's really listening to this. The judge said that he will issue a detailed ruling later, but for now is making a general ruling that the state can't cite autism as an aggravating factor. Of course. And I agree also on the defense. You can't, and you'd be stupid on the defense to argue that it has something to do with it. But I could see it for the defense on the penalty phase where it is important. You can't use that the dude's just stone cold. He doesn't talk very much. Are there any possible other suspects? Yeah, this is a big deal here. The defense team says that they plan to present evidence of an alternate perpetrator or of alternate perpetrators and the investigation that is still underway. It was a botched investigation too. It's another thing, like why this case is so interesting is there's just a lot of mistakes. Like the prosecutors, They want it to be an open and shut case, and they think it's a slam dunk, but there's just too many holes already. But prosecutors want the judge to issue an order preventing defense attorneys from using a shotgun approach by throwing a bunch of names at the jury without offering substantiating evidence tying those people to the crime. There's a lot of DNA. It was a party house, college party house. I lived in one of those partially. So there was a lot of people in and out. Defense attorney Eliza Mazoth told the judge that there is lots of evidence to support other suspects. I would hope that the court, can see that we are calculated and thoughtful in everything we're doing in this case and would treat alternate perpetrators any other way, Mazoth said. The judges say the defense team will have to make a factual showing that any suggested alternate perpetrators have a connection to the crime, and he doesn't want to do that during the trial. Ooh, that is big right there. Fucking judge. That's huge. That's not really fair in a way to the defense. Hitler said he would set a separate hearing before the trial so the defense can present its evidence relating to alternative perpetrators. All right, let's see if I could fit this into it, and I won't have to read it. Ooh.
Yeah. What about inflammatory evidence and terms? Kohberger's defense team asked the judge to prevent the state from relying on the excessive use of emotional appeal or gruesome photographs and inflammatory words like murderer, psychopath, and sociopath.
Yeah, these things are really important here.
Hitler declined to issue a general order against inflammatory conduct, but told both sides that he expected them to follow courtroom rules. He said he wouldn't allow the use of the terms psychopath, sociopath, or murderer during the evidentiary phase, but left open the possibility that prosecutors could use murderer during closing arguments.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's not really fair to your defense if people are already using those terms that imply already your guilt, right? So it's not fair that the prosecutor should be able to use these terms. It is important. Right, it is going to affect people like you're saying it, and after a while, we're at the end of it. It becomes the truth, right? Like that's what they see. So we'll stay tuned into the.
Make no mistake, these murders, whoever did them, were horrific, and I expect that the evidence will reflect that, Hitler said. When it comes to cumulative evidence, or some that are unnecessarily graphic, I think we will address that on a case-by-case basis. This story has been updated to correct the date of the killings.
Yeah, no, I think, with Kohberger, I don't agree that here, what was it I thinking? What was the last thing there? Inflammatory evidence. Yeah, there's no mistake. These murders, whoever did them, were horrific, and I expect that the evidence will reflect that. That's what's crazy, is that it was a slaughtering, literally a slaughtering of these children, and that there was no evidence left. And this guy's not like, even though he studied criminology, I mean, you could even watch those Dexter or Hannibal, two of my favorite shows, by the way, Dexter and Hannibal, and even if they wear what they do wear, like all the gloves, and you see this all the time where like the murderer dude's gonna wear all this gear, this stuff, like basically PPE, protective equipment, right? Personal protection equipment to not get blood spattering or DNA. There's still always something minute. The little piece always still comes in. Right? There's always still a little piece that can convict you. So I'm just shocked at how vicious these murders were, which were stabbings. I mean, like, let me do a chat GPT on the amount of stabbings. That's, even though we have to discuss there. How many stabs were in the Bryan Kohberger murders? Let's see here. Let's see if it finds it. The exact number of stab wounds inflicted on each victim in the University of Idaho murders has not been publicly disclosed. However, Latah County Coroner Kathy Mabut, reported that all 4 students, Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogan, Zaina Kernoodle, and Ethan Chapin, suffered multiple extensive stab wounds from a large knife. She described the injuries as pretty extensive, noting that the victims bled out at the scene. The murder weapon is believed to have been a fixed-blade military-style knife, possibly a kabar, though it has not been recovered. Bryan Kohberger, a PhD student in criminology, has been charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary. His trial is scheduled to begin on August 11th, right? So to commit, like, they don't have the number, but to commit such a heinous act and have nothing, like, they are literally weighing on it, not even blood. Yo, oh, Joey's there. There's Joey there. I'm not lagging, Joey. Joey, it's just behind. Lagging means I'm like, I didn't see, like, it's not lagging. It's just behind. On not even blood. Yeah, I'm like 10, like, what you see, Joey, what you're getting, you're like 10 seconds behind me. Like, so I don't know what you mean by lagging. Maybe you're lagging because your internet. I'm see it fine here, so. Right, so it is what it is. We've already discussed, Joey. I was asking about you, mistrial. I think there is grounds for mistrial. I've mentioned just a few, and now we're getting into, like, even the semantics of things that could be said during the actual trial. Like, there's going to be issues even there. I think the prosecution has just not prepared itself, and the defense isn't even that good. If he's free, he's a rich man. Yeah. I mean, but at that point, does it matter? Look at the kid that got free from the murders in Wisconsin, your buddy, the little Kyle Rittenhouse. Like, he's free from murders too, right? He's free, but he has no life. He can't get a job. He's the charm of having a right-wing sports spokesperson like him has faded. Like, he can't get into good schools. Nobody wants. He's already almost not as a blacklisted, but nobody wants to deal with him. If he's free, he's a free man, and if he's freed, and if he's guilty, would he kill again? That's a better question there, Joey. That's something that, if they are releasing a genuine mass murderer, serial killer, I wouldn't say serial killer because he's sort of a mass murder, or what if he is a serial killer? You would think that there would be evidence of an additional killing, and I bet the FBI is trying to look for them. Joey's saying these are state-appointed lawyers. Hey, not all state-appointed lawyers are bad. Like, but a lot of states-appointed lawyers want to become state's attorney. They want to go on into a political career, both in law as in politics. So they're not horrible. But yeah, Joey, that's the better question, is, like, if he's free, will he, like, is he mentally unstable? Is he really a serial killer or a mass murderer? Is he, is there something wrong with him? And then if he's set free, would he do it again? Right? Because the tendency would be the case, because you look at, like, we haven't seen with Rittenhouse, but we saw with that one guy that killed the young black kid, that after he killed the black kid, he kept on getting arrested and getting into problems. Like, these things aren't coincidental that they are involved here. I mean, Kohberger is not a suspect just for no reason, right? There's got to be something more there that they just didn't pluck him out of the blue, right? I can't really say that. That's not really fair, right? Because it's so speculative. And there's going to be something I'll be discussing in another about the tea leaves. We'll be discussing the culture of the Olmecs and cigars. Yeah, Joy, I mentioned that to the audience already, that it wasn't blood. I think it's just DNA that they have in the sheath, right? It isn't blood, so it was like a piece of skin or a very small matter, a very small DNA piece of his body, possibly, right? And that's the other argument. And I mentioned this earlier, Joy. If you were here in time and you know, hit the notification bell, people, hit the notification, come on in, like and subscribe. Even Joey here, one of my main followers, would know, but no, didn't get this notification. But hit the notification bell, people. But yeah, it's so minute that, you know, we're gonna see here. No, Joey, there is nothing. It's on the sheet. That's the only. And I just mentioned that the judge. What sucks, Joey, here, the judge isn't even going to allow the defense to argue that there were possibly other people and that there were other people's DNA, which is the truth. There was other people's DNA on, you know, left at the scene, right? That it's part of the scene that they're not allowed to put in as admissible evidence to the contrary, that he is guilty, or that there were other possible suspects. The judge slapped that down. That's a huge hit to the defense. That's a huge hit. But I would say on the retrial, that is going to be opened up. There's just no way. I think it's unfair that the judge did that, but it's going to definitely, you know, when he appeals it'll be brought up, and it'll be a big deal. It's just going to be harder. Once you're convicted, it's harder to overturn that conviction, right? Yeah, the judge knows it's Kohberger or nothing. Yeah, that's the other thing that's horrible, is there's a politic to all of this. Like, they're all involved politically. Idaho, the school, the community, the parents, the state's attorney, the governor, everybody needs this to go away. Everybody they need their guy. They got their guy, and that's it. And that's what makes this case interesting, because what if it is the case that he's not the guy, and he's not necessarily being framed, but they're, you know, they got their guy, and he's not getting the trial, and they're doctoring evidence, they're doctoring things to get their guy, right? I think this is, you know, a very, very legitimate concern. I think there's, in this day and age, there's politics involved here. There's big money involved here, because, like, didn't the town as well as, like, the school suffer, right? Like, they had a fewer admission into the school because of this, right? Like, so that, right, that oh, where am I at? Come on, bring me back. Bring me back. Where is, oh, there we go. Oh, oh, oh. There I go. Oh. Oh. Kohberger. What if the friends see this up and help calling the police 8 hours later? No, you're going a little too crazy there. You don't have to go to the friends in the community to find problems with the Kohberger case. I think it's all lies with the public defender, not the public defender, but the state's attorney, right? The state prosecutor, or whoever's prosecuting the case, the judge. You're correct. The mayor, the governor, like, it's. I don't think the friends and people had anything to do with this. Like that's the other thing that makes it crazy is that would add to the evidence, Joey. Like there would be more evidence spread to more people, and it isn't. That's what makes this thing crazy. Like, what did he go in there with? Like a spacesuit? Well, then where's the spacesuit? Right? Like stabbing somebody is a very dirty affair. Like, look at the Quentin Tarantino movies. When you look at Kill Bill or any of the old Japanese movies, when you chop somebody with a sword or you stab somebody, it isn't just like a simple like blood splurts. Especially with a big knife, you're gonna get a lot of blood and flesh everywhere, right? Especially multiple times stabbing somebody. It's I mean, it was done in the evening. Maybe he got quote unquote clean kills, but still to have that skill, it's a skill. And that was the I don't want to go back to the OJ and how dirty of a murder that was, but like it just that there isn't more DNA evidence is shocking. Like that they didn't find any clothing, no, none of his blood anywhere, none of it in the car, none of it in his apartment, right? None of it in his sink. They ripped apart the plumbing in his home, like all the plumbing was ripped open, right? They fucking scoured. They took everything out of the cupboards. They scanned every piece of food. His refrigerator probably went to the FBI and they fucking looked at every. They took it apart, looked at the filters. They looked at everything they could have to find this, right? No, they don't have more evidence and waiting for the trial because any evidence that they have, Joey, they have to share with the defense. So you just can't like pop up. Okay, you have to ask permission to add into evidence, and there's a process that needs to be done. So there could be more, but it would be done. Like the judge has to admit that evidence, and there's a process to it. Maybe there is. I don't think so, man. I think that they are going. They're. It's all like, hey, we got our guy. We got him. There he is. Book him, Dano. Take him in. We finally got him. Here's the other thing, Joey. Here's another question: is if he gets away with this, similar to the guy that killed the young African American Trayvon Martin, like people and even Kyle Rittenhouse, there are people that want to kill him. Will people attempt to kill one of the parents or family members? Um, will they attempt to kill Kohlberger? Does he become a target if he gets set free? Like your Selena's murder. They denied her ass parole, and that was the best thing that could have happened to her. When she gets out here, she's dead. Old lady that killed Selena. It's like Dahmer. Dahmer got his, right? Like, and the same thing could happen to Goldberger. Like, killing kids and there's other psychos that look at this guy as like a real psycho, right? How do you find a good jury? A lot of questioning, a lot of research, and good questions, right? Like it's just you have to, you as a public defender, I don't know where you get the money from, but you have to have almost like a private investigator, find out every little bit you can, because I think you have limited time with each potential jury member, and in the areas that they're at in Ohio, how are they going to find somebody that doesn't have an opinion on this? Like, look at you or I and how much we know about the case at this point. It's just on YouTube and that's on in the press, right? That's the case for any of these famous murders, like the Menendez brothers, right? Remember how that was on TV? Look at O.J. Simpson. It was like the biggest case. It was primetime television. Like people were watching the court cases like a soap opera, literally, like, skipping work, skipping school to watch the OJ trials or even the Menendez trial, same thing. And I think Kohlberger can be the same. The ratings are going to be high. I think Kohlberger, not because he's, and like, I think the kid that killed the CEO from Humana, the I forget his name. He's got the Italian name. His case, and I'm tired. I'm tired. That's why this thing's hard to do. These kinds of streams when you're tired of, my mind just doesn't put things together, and I don't have anything written down. It's just off top of my head. But not Musemi, but I forget the name of the kid that killed the health, that shot him in cold blood. That's going to be a popular one. People are going to watch that. And I don't think Rittenhouse. I watched the Rittenhouse. Oh, when he was crying, they came. Rittenhouse. I watched the Rittenhouse case, and that judge, wow, was he partial to Rittenhouse. Rittenhouse got so lucky he got that judge. He was so fortunate. The judge had like the Trump ringtone. Oh, I'm proud to be an American. Yeah, his phone goes off in trial in the courtroom. Just happens to go off. Like how inappropriate that guy was. That was the worst judge ever, and he got Kyle off. Helped Kyle get off. Like the public defender there, or the prosecutor there, they're getting fired, right? Like here in this case here, the prosecutors, if this guy gets off, they're getting fired too. But here's a lot more of a challenge because it's Planet Earth time. I'm not doing the Planet Earth time right now because people, or you're going to Planet Earth because like doing Planet Earth. T-shirts are available. Yeah, T-shirts are available for Planet Earth Shit Jitsu. I have a Shit Jitsu school. That's what we're doing here. This is part of the Shit Jitsu school where you just talk shit. You too can learn stuff in the Shit Jitsu school. Please join. All right, but T-shirts are available. But we have to do the Kohlberger shirt. This is a good photo of the Kohlberger. Actually, no, he's not looking directly forward, right? It's got to be his mug shot. Right. So, but I like the ones in the suit though, and but he doesn't smile. That was Joey. That's the other thing that that I was reading, and a big point of this. The biggest thing lately was that they're not going to be allowed to utilize his demeanor, right? Say, oh, because he's so cold, the prosecution wants to use that against him. If he's free, we make T-shirts, yeah. But the prosecution wants to use the fact that he doesn't talk, that he doesn't show any emotion. They want to enter that. They want to say, like, look at him. Look at the stone cold killer. They almost want to say that in the court, and they're not going to be allowed to do that, right? And they're saying he's autistic, and so he doesn't have many emotions. He doesn't, like, move very much. And I think it's bullshit. I just think he's just playing a good poker game. He's just great poker face. Don't say nothing. Don't give anything that could lead anybody to do anything. You don't want to smile. You don't want to cry. You don't want to give anything that could be used against you. Don't speak with your nonverbal. Don't give nonverbal hints or cues to what you're thinking or to what that can be interpreted in the wrong way. And in fact, it's horrible. He does absolutely nothing, which is what he should do, even in his facial appearances. And the court fucking holds that against him. OJ used it for him. They used it against the Menendez brothers, the way that they were discussing and the way all their things, they behaved, right? Their facial expressions, et cetera, et cetera. All this matters, right? So it's fascinating. Kohlberg for sure gets fan letters. Without a doubt, he gets fan letters. Does he read them is a better question. Right? Because the Menendez brothers got fan letters, and then the stupid Menendez brother, like, told a story and was hitting on one of the girls and admitted to shit while he was in jail. Oh my God, what an idiot. I don't know. Again, I don't know much of that. If I have to get too much from the Netflix special. This stuff, at least, we're getting from the media here. And of course, the Netflix special was created from, it's 9 o'clock. I'm wondering if I have another tea, or if I just go without any more tea here and just go, yeah, I'm going to not have any more tea here. I've never even heard his voice. Yeah, we've yet to hear his voice because he whispers, if that, into his public defender. You don't hear his voice. You hadn't seen him smile. Right? Oh, no, Joey, you heard his voice. We heard his voice when they stopped him in the car. When the police stop him on his way to Pennsylvania, where his parents' home, we heard his voice there, and he sounded all happy and cooperative. He sounded very normal, very average, like your typical just average guy, right? Didn't sound anything suspicious at all, right? So no, so it's going to be tough, right? So we have heard him, but in terms of court, no, we haven't heard him say anything. So yeah, Kohlberger, free Kohlberger. I'm gonna make, even though I'm about better, if I can make some shirts, make a little money, I might do it. Look forward to us having some Kohlberger shirts. Can we make the shirts and sell them? Are we allowed legally to do that? Am I allowed to do that? Let me ask ChatGPT. Let me ask ChatGPT if I get in trouble. Don't want to ask 11 Labs. Ah, that's the trial there. Oh, ChatGPT. Oh, where's... Come on, ChatGPT. Oh, there it goes. Use Kohlberger's public image on it because they did it with Trump, right? Public image on a T-shirt for sale. Probably not. Let's see here. Using Bryan Kohlbeger's public image on a T-shirt for commercial purposes, like selling them, raises legal and ethical concerns, even though he's a public figure due to the criminal case. Here's a breakdown. Legal issues, right of publicity. Even accused criminals can have a right of publicity, control over the commercial use of their name and image. Using someone's likeness without permission for profit could lead to civil lawsuits depending on the state. First Amendment versus commercial use. Satirical or commentary use, like political cartoons or editorial art, has stronger First Amendment protection. But putting an image on a product for sale generally counts as commercial use, which is less protected. Ongoing legal case. Because Kohlberger hasn't been convicted yet, using his image can be seen as defamatory if it's presented in a certain way, especially if the design implies guilt. Ethical considerations. Profiting from an image tied to a real tragic event involving murder victims can be seen as insensitive or exploitative. The world's exploitative. Could draw backlash on social media or in the press, especially from victims' family and advocacy groups. Safer alternatives. Original art or parody that doesn't use Kohlberger's likeness directly. So what, you filter it through some AI and cartoonify it or something like that, and then you put it on there? Same sort of shit. Commentary designs focus on legal process, media coverage, or broader themes, trial by media, rather than the person himself. If it's satire or art, adding a clear context can help avoid legal trouble. If you want to go through this route, ChatGPT can help you with the design. It walks through the legal line carefully or help brainstorm. Yeah, I guess I could, but I'm not going to do it right now. I'm a little tired. Even reading that was a little tiring. Are adding legal trouble. If you want to go through this route, I don't like the way the sound is on this mic. I want to get a better mic because it sounds like I'm in like a box, right? I don't know if it's the mic or the mixer or something like that. Should we fly out to the trial and get coverage? I bet if you flew out to the trial, you could definitely get a seat. Like, I bet it's going to be in like one of the state houses, or it's going to be an area where you might be able to get a seat, right? Like there, you could smell the candle that I got. I'm lagging again, Joey. I'm not lagging. I think you're confusing lagging with. I'm on 5 bars here, bro. It's going out to the internet pretty good. It's on your side. I don't know how I could be lagging. Right? I'm looking at it right now, but I'm at home, so it's not going very far. I'm looking at it on YouTube, and it's just delayed. It's not lagging. It's just like delayed. Lagging again means that I'm freezing. Right? Of course, I'm going to be behind schedule. You're not here. You don't know that, whatever. I'm tired of explaining this to it. I hate candles. They burn you. Yeah, I thought you liked the hot wax on the candles. Doesn't your friend put the hot wax on you? Oh, and likes hearing you scream. Yeah, we're not going to go there. But yeah, hey, if you made it this far, you are about better. I appreciate anybody that's come into this stream, right? We are reading the tea leaves here with news, new topics, right? So it's nice to have everyone here, right? Tea leaves. Get me here. Where am I at? Put myself here, the about better. Reading the tea leaves. Right, that's a mint, I think, there. That's some mint tea. Boom, there I go. That's me. Welcome, bow batters. So yeah, so that's it. That's it for today, folks. I appreciate everybody that did come in. I think it's very interesting stuff. Both these topics are interesting because if you're rich and you need health care, well, go and get health care. You know, right? It shows that like people like there's a level of mental illness and how separated we are from our families when it comes to illnesses and diseases, right? Like it's just sad that I'm working and cooperating with my family to take care of my mother, and it's just sad to see that like these people have tons of money, a large family, all with money, and they're not doing that. So it's pretty sad. And with Kohberger, it's sad too that there's a chance Kohberger gets away with this. I can't say he gets away with it, but that he's found not guilty because just the evidence and the way the prosecution, and mainly the evidence, how they treated this, and then they destroyed the home, and like, there's just so many holes in the case here against him, right? There's such little evidence, no eyewitnesses, and really the prosecution is just, even though some things have fallen on their side, is still going to have a tough case to prove here. So interesting stuff. If you have any comments about this, please put it in the comment section. Share this video. I'm not lagging, but any share would be great. If you've made it this far, you are about better. I appreciate everybody that does come into the stream. Thank you so much for being a part of reading the tea leaves. We're just over an hour, which is great. Have some tea. Be nice to your family. Take care of yourself. Right? Do the right thing. I'm saying something simple like that, but if you made it this far, you're about better. Thanks so much.